All right, welcome back, friends. This is episode 113. So, welcome back, and so glad to share this space with you. So, in the last episode, we talked about slow seasons and how they teach us a different kind of growth. So today I thought we could build on that conversation with the questions that's been sitting with me for a while. And it's something that in some recent coaching one-on-one with some momentum coaching that I do, put a link in that to show notes for you if you're interested in working with me one-on-one. But one of the conversations that's been coming up a lot in the last couple of weeks has been about what success is. And what if it wasn't meant to be big? Like, what if it was just supposed to be what it is without some big fanfare? What if it was supposed to be intentional, not louder, not faster, not more visible to anyone else, but just right? Because somewhere along the way, we started equating success with scale, right? And I'm not sure that in today's noisy world, that equation of build, 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 now, fast, fast, fast is still serving us. Now, I'm probably the odd one out for that. I'm probably the one that doesn't think like some of the others. And it's not a mindset thing for me. It is definitely, I don't know that always going faster does better. I don't think that growing before you're ready. I believe in taking risk, and I believe that there's no such thing as being perfect, that you just need to go try something. But I don't know if in the world of business, you have a couple small wins. And so immediately the world and others start telling you, build, 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 add. So I'm not sure that really is serving us in anymore in today's world. Because we live in a world, especially in business, that often flows over into our lives that celebrates bigger launchers. Pack your calendars fully, more clients, grow faster, get bigger numbers, start charging more, have bigger celebrations, take more time to celebrate in a big way, not so much in a gratitude way. I think that all sounds good until you're living it. But here's something that we don't talk about enough, right? Getting busier doesn't automatically make you more profitable. Having clients doesn't mean that you'll have better clients. Scaling before you're often solid can sometimes create more chaos and not momentum. And when I talk about better clients, it's right fit clients. I do believe we are not for everybody. And if you're trying to talk to everybody, I think by now, if you've been in business long enough, heck, even if you're living your personal life and you go to PTA meetings, if that's still a thing, I don't have any kids, so what would I know? But if you go to a meeting at school or something, you might find right away, hey, that person doesn't really align with my values. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you're probably not going to start having coffee every single day. So you want to find your right fit clients. And getting to know people might help you find that right fit client. But I think sometimes we get so hung up on 10,000 on our email list or 20,000 on our email list. Look at all the clients that I'm serving. And I think sometimes we get lost in that. So having more clients, I think, doesn't equate to having more right fit clients or better fit clients that you both can learn from. You just keep chasing more like it's proof that you're doing something right. The more that we have gives us an accolade, or the more that we do gives us an accolade for accomplishments. So let's look at it from a little bit of a personal live perspective. I've never wanted to build an empire, and it's not a mindset thing because I believe I could if I wanted to. But I never been motivated by being the biggest or the busiest or the most visible in any room. What I've always cared about, even before I had language for it, even because I really knew what to call it or what it was, I had that feeling, was building something that felt sustainable, aligned, and true. As many of you know, I was a photographer for 42 years. In the later part of my career, I was often asked to become an affiliate for a CR system or a software platform or some tech. And I always said thank you, but no thank you. And it's not because those systems are not valuable, because they are. To many people, they are the backbone of their business. But I simply did not use them. So I could not, in good conscience, promote them in a way that I built my business. I could have taken the affiliate link and cashed in some nice passive affiliate income, but I wouldn't be true to myself or to you. I'd be doing you a disservice because I don't even really know how to use the programs. So if you ever met me at a conference or you got on the phone to talk to me and you asked me about the CR system, I wouldn't be able to tell you about it. Now I can tell you I have plenty of friends and women, founders especially, that have built an amazing product, many tech. I have plenty of friends that have built tech platforms, and they are wonderful. And I believe in them. I just don't even know how to use them. So I could not share with that. So I didn't want to build my photography business, nor did I to a point where I didn't know my clients. Like I didn't know their names because I had so many people on my client list building this empire that I wouldn't really know. And I would have to go search, some system or platform to find their information. Nope. It wasn't, it was going to be that old fashioned. And to this day, they still are that old fashioned state of the art file folders. Now, I'll give you this. Every single year in my 42 years, I rotated colors. So sometimes we had that green folder, sometimes we had the yellow one, so yellow and blue. I rotated the color photos. That's how, current and trendy I was. And then we used binders for each client. And we had them sitting on a shelf. So at any time we needed to get information or add something to it, it was a simple walk over and get it off the shelf and open it up. I knew their names. I knew their stories. I knew how they met, how they got engaged. I knew who they cheered for, who their favorite college sports team was, and what they wanted their wedding or their event or their photo session to feel like, not just look like. I knew when they were paw parents before the I do's. I celebrated them buying their first home and walking their kids in front of my camera and the privilege of capturing their final family photos and sharing tears of comfort as parents, or those dogs, or those cats, or somebody passed away that I had gotten to know working with them. Yes, in plenty of seasons with 7 Sarahs and 3 Jims, I might have to pause and say, wait, Sarah and Jim, what date again? But I always knew them. I was blessed to book out 18 to 24 months, my entire career. I don't say that from a place of conceit, but from the way that I worked and the hard work that I put in to having the right fit BBP couples for me. So that meant I could walk alongside my clients for years through joy, anticipation, and yes, sometimes grief and uncertainty. I didn't want a business so big that a system had to tell me who mattered. I wanted a business built on relationships, trust, and presence. That's the kind of success I wanted. Not 7 figures, 8 figures, and 9 figures at the cost of exhaustion. Not an empire that burnt me out. And if you're using these CR systems and you're using tech, please continue to do so. You need to do what serves you best, what helps your business grow on your terms. I just knew for me and my learning disabilities and my dyslexia that I had to have a different approach. And throughout my years of growing up with this learning disability and my speech impediment and the way that I process, I had to create a system for me. And that was going to have to be something very old fashioned. Lots of voice to text before we used to use recorders, right? I would do voice memos to people in a different way. So however you're building your business, however you choose to build your business, however you have built your business, continue doing that if it's serving you. But I knew that building that kind of empire just wasn't going to be for me. I wanted to build a type of business and the type of career, or if I stayed true to myself and I was authentic and gave them the very best version of myself every single time, that I was building the relationship that at the end of our time together, they knew that it was more than transactional, that they would share with others the experience they had with me, that they would want others to be on the other side of my lens so that I could capture their special moments, their special days, and their lives. They would be my biggest cheerleaders and the best advertising, not a single ad dollar spent, because they would be the referral system that kept building my business year after year. And as I became their family photographer and photographers for their circle of connections, there was one time at a wedding where I had an entire table, a 10, there was 5 couples there. And I had 2 tables, so 10 couples. Every one of them were a BBP couple. I never took that lightly, and I never took that for granted because I continued to show up for each and every one of them, and every single time they honored me by referring me. And yes, I know it's a different world these days, but I do still believe that it's possible that when you're brave enough to invest in yourself and build your own version of success professionally and personally, that you will find the level of success that you're looking for. And even now, 2 years removed from being behind the camera, I still receive emails, texts, and requests to come out of retirement. In case you didn't know, I do have Parkinson's disease that shortened my photography career. And yes, I miss telling stories. I miss that camaraderie. I miss that relationship deeply every single day. But I refuse to let Parkinson's define how I live the rest of my life or how I continue to serve. So that's the chapter that I'm in. So in this next chapter, I'm building the same way that I always have. Nothing super massive, nothing overwhelming, but something meaningful. Something that supports me and my family, something that will allow me to give back, and something that reminds people they are seen, heard, and capable, even if they've forgotten that about themselves. And that's how I want my legacy as a photographer, and that's how I want my legacy to be as a human, that both made life a little better because our paths crossed. To me, that's an empire. And I've seen this play out over and over and over, as I just mentioned in my own work and in the businesses of people that I work with. And lots of my coaching students come to me with this, I've built really fast, or I think I should build. They're stuck on that hamster wheel of, do I go faster? Do I slow down? If I slow down, do I do less? Do I do more? That's the world that we live in, because people grow fast. And I think they grow before they're clear and before they're grounded and before they're supported. And often that's why they wonder why it feels heavy instead of exciting. And maybe you're feeling that too. Maybe you're on that hamster wheel of deciding, do I add more employees? Do I create a new project? Do I create a new outlet, a new revenue, another stream of income? You may be at that point right now. But if you are, I don't want it to feel heavy. I want you to be excited as the first time you're going to hang your shingle, right? Big growth without stability doesn't feel like success, but it feels like a survival mode. It just has a nicer title. So here's the reframe I want to offer you. Real momentum comes from stability, not speed. Real momentum comes from stability, not speed. Busyness is not the same as meaningful process or progress. A full calendar is not proof that your work is aligned with who you are right now and where you want to go. In fact, sometimes growth slows because clarity is catching up. Expansion pauses because your foundation needs attention. The pace changes because your definition of success is evolving. You, as a human, your personal growth is changing. Your professional growth is changing. And when one changes, the other's going to change along with it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But go at your own pace, not because somebody else is telling you to go faster and further. And that doesn't mean that you don't see success, that you don't see what others are telling you, because I want you to at least believe if others are telling you that you're capable and that you're worthy, I want you to believe it. Because when people are telling you something, they are. By the same token, when they tell you you're never going to succeed or you're not going to do anything, that's more on them than on you. We talk about that quite often on the podcast or other places that I share information and resources. So just because you don't want to go faster now and you don't want to scale now, and that hamster wheel that you're on is making you ask questions, understand that it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It means that you're building something you don't want to escape from later. And this is how things come back to me. Profit, purpose, and joy don't come from chasing someone else's version of growth. They just don't. They never will. Somebody else's blueprint, my friends, is not yours. The way somebody gets on an escalator and gets up really fast, that's not your escalator. And if you get on an elevator, I want you to make sure that you push it back down and bring others along, right? I want you to build and scale and grow from building what matters most on your terms, with your energy in your season. More clients doesn't automatically mean you're going to be more profitable. More visibility doesn't automatically mean you'll find more fulfillment. And big doesn't automatically mean successful. Sometimes success does look like fewer clients that are a better fit, less noise and more clarity, slower growth and deeper roots. And that kind of success lasts, my friends. And I want that for you. So if you feel like this, I'm going to leave you with a few more questions. Not action steps, no homework, right? Just questions. I want you to ask yourself, who defines success for you? What version of big are you chasing and why? What could change if success didn't have impress anyone else? What would change if success didn't have to impress anyone else? What would aligned growth look like to you right now? Because success doesn't have to be big to be meaningful. It just has to be yours and your definition, and your answering the question of what matters most and how to build that. The season of my life and the work has taught me. Where I have over the past 6 months have taught me more lessons than I have learned in all my 60 plus years. That I don't want to go fast because that costs my energy. I'm privileged to be at a spot in my life where I had to slow down. Whether I was forced to slow down, whether Parkinson said, "Whoa, Bobbi, you've done the work. You've served. You've put in, you've shared your talents. Now it's time to listen to your body." And then I had to listen to become a caregiver, and I had to make the hard decision to move. And that meant, and I do not use the word sacrifice, it just meant my business and what I was working on was going to change, and I was going to have a new way of serving. It meant I had to step off the stages for a while because I had to deal with my Parkinson's. I had to get into the routine. I had to learn how to start navigating this. And there are days that Parkinson's makes my voice go away. So I have to be careful how I speak. Most of you already know that I stutter once in a while, but believe it or not, this medicine that I'm on is kind of helping some of that stuttering. So, there's a blessing in there in a different way, disguised in a different way. So I didn't want to grow faster because it was going to cost me my energy. And I didn't want to come back serving until I knew I was ready to serve again from the heart. And that I knew I had value to share. And that I knew, as crazy as it seems, that we will not fluff. I knew, and I still believe, that that is strategy. That motivation is strategy. That mindset is strategy. That believing in yourself is a strategy. And these are the foundations to build what matters most. And I didn't want any big success, or I didn't want to go down the path of building something so different that it disconnected to me and what matters. I wanted something solid, intentional, sustainable. And I do believe, listeners, that that is what you're looking for too. And that is one of your goals and what you're aiming for. So if today's conversation has landed with you, just let it sit. You don't need to shrink. You don't need to rush. You don't need to, oh my gosh, what do I need to do? And go back and listen to these episodes. This series is meant to go back and listen to, because sometimes you might be in a spot that you hear something different, or you might just need that little nudge. That's how all the episodes of Beef Apple Podcast have always been. The ones I've done with interviews, the ones that I've done solo. But this series right here, this permission series, is really something that I want you to listen to and come back to whenever you need it. Right? You're allowed to build something that fits your life. So as always, my friends, I'm cheering you on. I'm one of your biggest heroes. You're one of my biggest heroes. And I'm just one of your biggest fans. So thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing space with me. And thank you for taking the time to redefine success on your terms. So until next time, stay grounded, stay curious, find that joy. And remember that you are fabulous exactly as you are, right where we are. Go share yourself, my friends. Go share yourself.